This is Jason Reed Pratt, author of Cry of Justice! Have you been wondering when I'll just give up and admit that my multiplayer opponent Barthheart has managed to guide the Polish to win World War II early in VR Design's decisive campaigns, the Blitzkrieg from Warsaw to Paris by Matrix and/or Slitherine games? Me too! Fortunately, or maybe unfortunately, I'm not quite defeated yet, and indeed I still have some hope of crushing the faces of the Polish under my jackboots, or whatever it is that Nazi scum do to get their way. Should that count as hope? No. Definitely not. Turn 11, September 21st, 1939. No! No, 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 no. Oh gosh, maybe that was a bluff. It looks like we still have 33 VP, and our losses are still under 10%, and Polish losses are pushing up to 50%. Not that this is great news, because, well, this turn is when I finally realize I have to make a decision about whether it's more impossible to take Warsaw, or more impossible to go for every other major city instead. And then concentrate my remaining 4 turns on trying to achieve one of those, not both. Not that taking Warsaw by itself will win me the game. That would only get me to 43 victory points, and I would still need another 6 somewhere. And looking over the map as I'm preparing my turn, yeah, I've got to give up aiming for all the other dots. If I redirect to trying to get into Warsaw from the east, maybe I can do it. Probably not. But it looks less impossible than getting some of those remaining major cities, all of which I'd have to win without Warsaw. So at the end of my turn, let's see. Down on the southern front, well, I can be sure that there aren't any useful Polish units remaining around Zakopane now. But really, there couldn't be. Even if Barth somehow spawned one into the city through a card or random event, which I suspect is possible, the unit would be sitting out of supply and quickly become unable to operate. But I worry about Barth's counter-blitzing that much. So I went to go check. I'm even thinking of running back a little west through the hills to scout that last Polish control hex at the river's headwaters over there, just to be surely sure. But on more serious topics, I've pushed the Poles out of Przemysl, or whatever that's called, sorry, and I'm probably just going to secure my supply lines and sit here. I mean, I'll probe toward Lvov, just to cut off supply to any Polish units trying to run for the southern exit zone, if any remain that haven't run yet, and to see if I can walk into the city in a few final turns, but otherwise I'm basically done here. I might as well pull the Nazi Slavic fanboys back across the river to guard against a push against the supply line too. Westward, at the far more important battle for Krakow, well, not much accomplished here yet. I'm feeling a little more confident that they'll crack and fold, enough for me to get the orange dot anyway, by the end of the game. That will depend partly on whether, up here, I can keep Barth from trying a last-hour counter-push against my northern supply line feeding the Krakow assault, since that's a rather roundabout route to getting bullets and fuel to what has turned out to be my primary assault on the city. More on the only part I really care about securing, the orange dot. But I feel pretty confident that I've kept enough troops in the area, albeit mostly slow-moving ones, to protect the supply route. Relatedly, I extirpated the final resistance in the mountains around here. The main job for the 14th, 46th, and 31st Divisions will be to get back onto the road network so as to minimize their own attrition losses pronto. Laggards of the 1st Panzer Division can be seen up here, rolling north to... well, at this point their job is to help secure this area from an attempt by Barth to counterattack and snap the supply line of these fast divisions, who are trying to work their way north along those routes, because those routes lead to Warsaw's back door. And those roads themselves will need securing against opportunistic cavalry runs, which is why I've also pulled my division off that orange dot city of Lublin on the right. I can still win, theoretically, even if Barth retakes it, I think. But I can't win without Warsaw now. So I might as well use Lublin as a distraction for Barth to spend forces retaking and guarding. Shifting north a little, you can see the approaches south of Warsaw here, but I don't know how much defense I can expect along the nearest road, so I'm sending the 1st Panzer Division, or most of it, around the swamp to the east on a loop-around road, just in case. But I have at least pushed Barth off the Lutz orange dot, so if I can keep him distracted here, at this point what I don't want is for him to collapse his divisions back toward Warsaw, nor surge them forward to mess with my end around. And that means, for all practical purposes, this side of the fight is over for me, aside from some positioning. I don't think I can punch through to Warsaw with all my guys here in another 3 turns. And I don't think I can needle enough guys behind the Lutz line here to do any good against his western Warsaw defenses, which we'll see in a moment. So the best I can do here for the rest of the game is act as a sort of magnet for his defensive troops. Here's the area around Warsaw so you can see what I mean. Now, my big arrowhead here might be enough to crack through his thin river defense line and get between Warsaw and the Lutz Polish defense line. But for that to feasibly work, I've got to keep his Lutz defense line distracted by what amounts to my spear wall to the south. A counter-defense line, you could call it. And even with that arrowhead of divisions, I'm very doubtful I've got enough oomph to smash through his long dug-in troops west of Warsaw. That's why I'm running 2 fast-moving groups around behind to his east on these roads. But you'll notice there's a big problem for me to Warsaw's east. I'll have to assault across that river. And the river road might be cut behind me pretty easily if I'm not careful. That's why I'm trying to develop a 3rd plan up here, northeast of Warsaw. But you should notice that this plan still requires me to secure a clean line of supply over a mess of blown up bridges to boot. That 3rd northeastern plan won't be very easy because I'm having to push these clowns back off the road and keep them off it and repair the relevant bridges. That security will be easier once I finish convincing the Mloa Fort pocket in the upper left up there to give up, which will free a couple of weakened infantry divisions to come down and hold the roads. That just about finishes my strategy too. The northeast sector, like with Vodrik's corps here, and the Königsberg garrison, isn't seriously trying to reach Bialystok. I don't even think that's possible, but if I give chase in that direction, Barth may be distracted from collapsing those troops back to protect Warsaw's riverbank, or more likely, with the time frame involved, to mess with my forthcoming assault from that side. The same goes for Brandt's group closing in on Grodno, although I do think I have a small chance of picking it up before the end of the game. I'm not going to waste a lot more troops on it though. It has been a long month, which will still last 3 turns longer, and is still coming down to the wire, and it's now Barth's turn of doom. Doom, 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 doom,